This is the Turf Zone Podcast, your central information and news hub, bringing together professionals from turf associations across multiple states to share things to help you in your business. Brought to you in partnership with our friends at the Pennsylvania Turfgrass Council. Now, let's get in the zone.
Welcome to the Turf Zone. In this episode of Pennsylvania Turfgrass, we feature an article titled Postemergence Control of Crabgrass and Other Summer Annual Grasses in Turf by Landschoot, Ph.D., Professor of Turfgrass Science at Penn State. During late spring and summer annual grasses can be an unsightly weed problem in many Pennsylvania lawns, sports fields, and golf course fairways and roughs. Reasons for severe infestations include high seed populations in soil, thin turf canopies allowing space for weeds to grow, mistimed preemergence herbicide applications, and premature breakdown of preemergence herbicides. Once summer annual grasses begin to emerge, they generally grow faster than cool season turf grasses and will gradually take over large sections of turf. If not controlled before producing seed, another large weed crop will emerge the following year. The most common summer annual grasses likely to infest turf in Pennsylvania include crabgrass, goosegrass, and foxtail species. Other summer annuals that may be problematic in certain areas are barnyard grass and Japanese stiltgrass. Seeds of summer annual grasses don't all germinate at the same time. Instead, germination and seedling emergence is staggered over several weeks or months. This timing mechanism ensures that a late frost or some other weather-related event won't kill off the entire population. Depending on where you live in Pennsylvania, you may see crabgrass seedlings emerging from mid-April to mid-July. Also, seed of various species of summer annual grasses germinate at different times of the growing season. For example, goosegrass seed usually germinates and emerges 3 to 4 weeks later than crabgrass. The long germination emergence period makes control of summer annual grasses challenging. The most effective means of controlling summer annual grasses is through cultural measures that create a dense turf and applications of preemergence herbicides. When these measures fail, postemergence herbicides can be used. Postemergence control of crabgrass and other summer annual grass weeds involves the use of products that kill growing plants after they have appeared in the turf. Postemergence herbicides can be used to treat only those areas where summer annual grass weeds have emerged. Preemergence herbicides, on the other hand, are usually applied over the entire turf area since the applicator does not know where seeds are located or if they are present. Stage of growth and postemergence herbicide applications. Knowing the growth stage of the target species and the corresponding herbicide rate are important for successful postemergence control of summer annual grasses. Stage of growth can be determined by examining individual plants and observing the number of leaves on the main shoot, or how many secondary stems, called tillers, have emerged from the crown. Generally, summer annual grasses with 1 or 2 tillers are easier to control with postemergence herbicides than plants with 3 or more tillers. As the number of tillers increases, the product rate will likely increase or a different herbicide may be needed. Because summer annual grass seedlings emerge in turf stands at different times during spring and summer, their growth stages will vary. Be sure to examine several plants in different locations of the turf stand to get an adequate assessment of plant maturity. If early in the growing season, the stand may be composed mostly of non-tillered or 1 or 2 tiller plants. In this case, choosing a herbicide product and rate that provides effective control and is safe on turf may be easier. Adding a pre-emergence herbicide with a post-emergence product early in the growing season will prevent late germinating summer annuals from infesting the stand. Later in the summer, annual grasses may have 4 or more tillers, along with some newly emerged plants. In this case, you may need to apply a herbicide at rates that will control weed plants with the higher tiller numbers. Post-emergence applications at this stage of growth may require more than 1 application for complete control. By the time seed heads are produced in late summer, Control with post-emergence herbicides becomes inconsistent and not very practical. Post-emergence herbicides for control of summer annual grasses. Dithiopyr is mainly used as a pre-emergence herbicide, but products containing this active ingredient, such as Dimension 2EW, Dimension Ultra 40WP, Dithiopyr 40WSB, and others, have information on labels concerning early post-emergence control of crabgrass. When used alone on cool season turf grasses, dithiopyr can provide post-emergence control of crabgrass prior to tillering and when plants have fewer than 5 leaves. Dithiopyr does not provide post-emergence control of goosegrass. Some dithiopyr product labels allow for mixing with other post-emergence herbicide products, such as Acclaim Extra, for control of crabgrass up to the 3-tiller stage. Most cool season turf grasses are tolerant of dithiopyr, but product labels caution against use on certain cultivars of creeping bentgrass and fine fescues. Phenoxyprop P-ethyl is a post-emergence herbicide that controls tillered crabgrass and other summer annual grasses with a single application. Products containing phenoxyprop P-ethyl, Acclaim Extra and Less Call, are labeled for control of crabgrass, goosegrass, barnyard grass, foxtail species, Japanese stilt grass, and panicum species. Phenoxyprop P-ethyl is relatively safe on most cool season turf grasses, but may injure some Kentucky bluegrass cultivars, especially at high temperatures. Rates of Acclaim Extra range from 3.5 to 39 fluid ounces per acre, with suggested use rates increasing as the number of tillers on summer annual grasses increase up to 4 or 5 tillers. Efficacy of Acclaim Extra improves with the addition of a non-ionic surfactant. In Kentucky bluegrass, the product rate should be limited to 28 fluid ounces per acre per application. This herbicide should not be applied if cool season turf grasses show signs of drought stress. Phenoxyprop P-ethyl is less effective when tank mixed with phenoxy herbicides such as 2,4-D and MCPP, but can be mixed with pre-emergence herbicides for improved control of crabgrass. Last Call contains phenoxyprop P-ethyl and the non-phenoxy herbicides fluroxypyr and dicamba for control of summer annual grasses and some broadleaf weeds. Mesotrione is the active ingredient in tenacity herbicide and can be used as a pre-emergence and post-emergence herbicide for controlling crabgrass, barnyard grass, and yellow foxtail, but only provides post-emergence control of goosegrass. Post-emergence control of crabgrass and goosegrass is most effective when applied to young plants with fewer than 4 tillers. Repeat applications are usually necessary for complete control of summer annual grasses. Rates of tenacity range from 5 to 8 fluid ounces per acre and should not exceed a total of 16 fluid ounces per acre over the course of the growing season. Tenacity is relatively safe on most turfgrass species but cannot be used on bentgrass and may cause superficial whitening of perennial ryegrass foliage. Tenacity can also control or suppress several species of broadleaf weeds, as well as creeping bentgrass, nimblewill, and nutsedge and turf. This herbicide can be used for controlling newly emerged crabgrass in new seedlings of Kentucky bluegrass, perennial ryegrass, and tall fescue. It should not be used in new stands of fine fescues. Label instructions suggest spraying only after newly emerged turf grasses have been mowed twice or 4 weeks after emergence. Tenacity can be mixed with prodiamine, dicamba, triclopyr, fluroxypyr, or carfentrazone when used on established turf. It is most effective in controlling summer annual grasses when mixed with a non-ionic surfactant. Susceptible weeds turn white before they die, creating a highly visible treatment effect for 2 to 3 weeks following application. Quinclorac is the active compound in Drive Accelerate Quinclorac 75DF and several other products. This herbicide is primarily a post-emergence herbicide for control of crabgrass, foxtail, and barnyard grass, but not goosegrass. It also controls a number of broadleaf weed species and established turfgrass. It controls newly emerged, up to 1 tiller, as well as mature annual grasses with more than 4 tillers. However, this herbicide may not provide complete control of annual grasses with 2, 3, or 4 tillers. Quinclorac can also be used as a preemergence and postemergence herbicide in new turfgrass seedlings. The Drive Accelerate label suggests different application intervals following emergence of specific turfgrass species. For example, tall fescue seedlings can be treated 7 days after emergence, whereas Kentucky bluegrass should not be treated until 28 days after emergence. The label rate of Drive Accelerate is 64 fluid ounces per acre and should be combined with the methylated seed oil for optimum efficacy. Topramazone is the active compound of Pilex herbicide, and its mode of action and systemic activity is similar to mesotrione. However, Pilex offers some important differences in weed species controlled or suppressed. Like tenacity, Pilex is labeled for post-emergence control of crabgrass, barnyard grass, foxtails, and goosegrass. Pilex is particularly effective on goosegrass in newly established or established turf. It can be applied any time before seeding or 28 days after seeding tolerant turfgrass species. Pilex controls numerous broadleaf weed species as well as nimblewheel and Dallas grass in turf. This herbicide is also labeled for selective suppression and control of Bermuda grass in cool season turf. Unlike tenacity, Pilex is not labeled for control of creeping bentgrass. Best post-emergence control of summer annual grasses occurs when Pilex is applied to plants with fewer than 4 tillers. Rates of Pilex range from 1 to 1.5 fluid ounces per acre per application for most turf stands, but applications up to 2 fluid ounces per acre can be made on pure stands of Kentucky bluegrass. The total seasonal amount of Pilex is restricted to 4 fluid ounces per acre. It is most effective in controlling summer annual grasses when mixed with the methylated seed oil or crop oil concentrate. Susceptible weeds turn white before they die, creating a highly visible treatment effect following application. The whitening effect can be reduced somewhat when triclopyr is mixed with Pilex. The addition of triclopyr also aids in suppression and control of Bermuda grass. A few other post-emergence herbicides provide control of annual grasses, but have limited species tolerance or use allowances. These include ambicarbazone, Exonerate, fluazafop, Fusilade, MSMA products, quizalofop, Assure 2, Cethoxidem, Segment 2, and sulfentrazone products. Be sure to carefully follow label directions when using these compounds for post-emergence control of annual grasses. For all images associated with this article, check out our show notes. And don't miss an episode of Pennsylvania Turfgrass. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also visit us at theturfzone.com.
You've been listening to The Turf Zone. For more episodes of The Turf Zone, visit theturfzone.com and subscribe on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app.